I'm here with Edukas, the co-owner of Surfside Sports in Costa Mesa, California. And you also just got nominated to take on a new role with BRA. What can you tell me about that?
I think that, the West Coast and the East Coast are two different types of segments of our industry. And I think it's important to have somebody like Dee on the East Coast representing how shops run, and somebody like me on the West Coast understanding how the West Coast runs. I think it'll be a good thing for the industry.
And your titles are, you guys are like the co-chairs of BRA. We were just talking a little while ago about the month of August and back to school and how things are going at the store, and sounded like some pretty upbeat things.
Well, it's cautiously optimistic. I've seen August come together at the very end when you think you're not doing good, and I've seen it do great in the beginning and fall apart at the end. So I really can't speak confidently about it until the end of August when we're into September, but hopefully things are getting better.
As far as what's been selling, is it sort of traditional back-to-school products like footwear and bags and back-to-school outfits and that kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it used to be, but maybe a little less volume. What I'm really seeing is in the consumer, our customer base, and we are one store, a community store. It's not like Surfside has 29 retail throughout the country and only have to worry about one. But I am finding that our customers, and our store is in an area where the whole population within a 10-mile radius either surf skates or snowboards or likes to live the lifestyle with the clothing. I am starting to see more consumer confidence, and maybe the customers don't have the funds to go to Indonesia or to far outlandish surf spots. But by the way, we just had 10 to 15 foot surf at the US Open, and that helped a lot. And in conjunction with consumer confidence, knowing that, hey, some people did get laid off, and unfortunately maybe their lives hasn't changed, but the other segment of our population, our customer base, they're less afraid to spend now. They're more confident in their lifestyles, and they're going to live their lifestyles maybe not quite as lavishly as they did in the past when nobody thought anything was going to come to an end. But now we know, hey, we have to be a little bit more responsible with our spending habits, but we still got to do it.
Right. So we're here at Surf Expo. You're making the rounds, checking out stuff, making your orders. How, from a retail perspective, has your sort of buying strategy changed over the past year or two?
Ours hasn't really changed. First of all, we're not doing any buying here. This is my first time at Surf Expo. I'm just seeing how it works here and comparing it to the West Coast. But I think this is an incredible show for East Coast. The East Coast is way different than the West Coast in that the West Coast, we have all the manufacturers centrally located. I think the furthest I have to drive is to Quicksilver in Huntington Beach, and it's about 10 miles. And people like Dave Nash, Tom and Jurgen, and Milo, they might have to come 90 to 50 miles, but it's still, we can come to the companies and be able to see it. And then we have ASR, which is a great show for all of us to get together, show our camaraderie and the energy of the industry. And Surf Expo at the same time portrays the surf industry to the people on the East Coast that don't have the ability to be going to the Hurleys and the Quicksilvers and the Volcans and the Rukas and the et cetera, and being able to go to meetings at Billabong like all of us went to last week. So this is a really important show, and I can just feel the camaraderie being portrayed at this show and how happy the people with stores here on the East Coast are to see the owners and to talk to the owners, communicate their problems or their concerns, and just to get a little bit of insight from the owners of the company and from the industry as general as where things are going.
Right. So, as far as like a lot of what we've been hearing from a lot of manufacturers is that they're kind of planning their production a little more conservatively based on retailers kind of ordering a little closer to season and not pre-booking as much. Is that sort of part of your strategy? And what would what would you tell some less experienced retailers they should be doing to get through these times?
I would say that in this recession, we have to be careful with what we buy, but don't be so careful that you screw up your own retail. If you have a good customer base in a community and your customers are coming in on a regular basis, maybe not quite as much, but you still have to have the product to sell, or those customers will desert you as a retailer because you've deserted their needs as a retailer. Now, you don't want to overbuy, and in many cases you can get fill-ins from the manufacturers, but just make sure you find the happy medium. And for crying out loud and for the good of the industry, communicate with your vendors. If you can't pay an invoice, don't just put your head in the ground. Communicate it with them, and I think you'll find most times you can work something out. It's not easy, but you can do it. And what they want to hear is communication from you, and they want to know that you care about paying your invoices and you care about their company, but in turn the retailers need to know that the company recognizes your concerns and your struggle as a retailer to try to pay those invoices. But you have to make sure that you have, I like to call it the ammo, to deal with your business and to have the goods for your customer in order to be successful, or just to pay your rent and survive.
Right.